So there was a piece on Variety about, actually, this was all over the internet too. And I'm going to explain in a moment why I have mixed feelings about this. Halle Berry pulls out of transgender film role after backlash. Halle Berry has pulled out of a role in an upcoming film in which she'd play a transgender character after facing backlash online. In an Instagram interview on Friday, the actor said she had been preparing for the role but had not been officially cast. It's a character where the woman is a trans character, so she's a woman that transitioned into a man. She's a character in a project I love that I might be doing, Berry had said. She added that she wanted to take a deep dive into that world, likely referring to the trans community. However, Berry faced backlash online after misgendering the character multiple times during the interview. Who this woman was is so interesting to me, and that will probably be my next project, she said. On Monday night, she issued an apology and pulled out of the role, saying the transgender community should undeniably have the opportunity to tell their own stories. Over the weekend, I had the opportunity to discuss my consideration of an upcoming role as a transgender man, and I'd like to apologize for those remarks. As a cisgender woman, I now understand that I should not have considered this role and that the transgender community should undeniably have the opportunity to tell their own stories, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. I feel kind of conflicted about this. And here's why. Scarlett Johansson was also considering a trans character a few months ago. Right? And she got the same kind of backlash. She pulled out of it. And here's my problem. You never heard about this movie again. So I can understand from a racial perspective why, like, let me give you an example. When I was in film school, I saw a movie called The Searcher, because in film school, they make you watch certain movies that they deem worthy. And one of those is Searchers with John Wayne. I still don't understand why people consider this a great movie. It's a movie I think it's by David, what's his name? David Lean, the guy that did Lawrence of Arabia, which is a far better movie. I really didn't get The Searchers, but I only saw it once. But I was totally thrown off in the movie that the villain, which is a Native American guy, is played by a white actor. And how do I know he's a white actor? Because the guy had blue eyes. Okay? No Native American has blue eyes unless they're mixed. Okay? I remember being very annoyed that they couldn't find an actor. If you're going to get there's not a lot of Native American actors, I understand that. But if you're going to get a white guy, you can't get someone who doesn't have blue eyes. And this is coming off of me just having watched Hamilton, where everybody was played by a person of color. But see, here's the thing. The reason why I think it's so important for black people to play black people is because of the history of this country, for one. And for two, white people have so many roles. They get offered, everything is made for them. Okay? And there aren't a lot of good roles for black people. And we have a great many black actors. So there's really no reason, and these are popular black actors. There's really no reason for you not to cast a black actor in a black role. I mean, and there's only been a couple instances in the recent not so recent past. I remember there was supposed to be a white actor playing Michael Jackson, and there was some blowback from that. And of course, they were going to play him because, Michael Jackson had that whole thing with his skin. So I don't know. It just seems like I might be a little bit hypocritical here, but here's the thing. First of all, are there a lot of trans actors? That's the first question I would ask. And secondly, does anybody know these trans actors? Because my problem here is that sometimes to get a movie made in Hollywood, you need to have a well-known actor or actress to play the part. That gets sometimes, a movie can be held up in production hell, and that's one thing that we're bringing out of production hell is the fact that you get a star attached to it. So my point here is that maybe she shouldn't play this character, but on the other hand, you're probably never going to hear about this movie again now that she's out of the running for the role. That's what I'm saying. And it's another thing maybe we should consider about this. Scarlett Johansson was a white actress taking a role from a possible role from a minority. Okay, this is a minority trying to get a part of an even smaller minority. So it's not a case of a white person stealing a minority's role. It's a minority stealing another minority's role. So I don't really know how I feel about that. I kind of think Halle Berry should have been given a chance to play this character, because this character was a woman at one point. She's a woman. And I don't know, I might get hot water here. Isn't what transgender people do, some of what they do is kind of a performance? And I know there's people out there will jump down my throat and say, look, no, you can't say that. They were always a woman. They just, so when they transition, but see, I don't know how I feel about that either, because you got people like Kris Jenner, who was obviously a man for most of his life. Okay, maybe he did feel like he was a woman deep inside the whole time, and but I felt like when he started putting on the wig and doing all this, wearing dresses and whatnot, there is a certain amount of performance there. Him pretending to be, I shouldn't even say that because that's going to give me a hot water. But it's just, I feel like transitioning into somebody else is kind of a performance, no matter how you look at it. And here is, you got an actor who wants to do the same type of transformation. Shouldn't they be allowed to do that? So I don't know. It's a touchy issue. I understand why people would be upset about it, but at the same time, you're never gonna. I don't even think she revealed what the name of this movie was. But I never heard anything about that Scarlett Johansson movie. It was called Rub and Tug. Let me just look it up. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Maybe it actually did get made. And maybe I just didn't hear about it. Okay, let me Rub and Tug. No, this is not it. Can't be it. So I'm guessing this movie didn't get made. No, here it is. Okay. Because this project is categorized as in development, the data is only available on IMDb Pro and is subject to change. So there you go. The movie didn't even get made once Scarlett Johansson stepped away from it. So apparently they didn't. I don't know what happened. Maybe they did find a trans actor to play the role, but they just couldn't get anybody. They couldn't get any funding for it because it wasn't a known name. So I don't know. It's kind of a catch-22 if you ask me. But I'm not blasting trans people or whatever. But I'm just saying, maybe y'all should back off just a little bit until you give some more acceptance, and you can get to the point where you get some trans actors. Because a lot of, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. You probably seen Scarface. Was it right for Al Pacino to play a Hispanic guy? Probably not. Probably in this day and age, you couldn't get away with that. But consider this. There were some Hispanic actors. Now, most of the actors in the movie were actors with brown face. Let me be honest about that. But there were a couple actors in that movie that got careers out of that movie. So that's another example of a movie probably wouldn't got made without Al Pacino being in it, and it benefited some actors. Because let me just give you a few names that came out of that movie. Stephen Bauer, who I recently saw on Better Call Saul. He plays a drug lord on Better Call Saul. He got a career out of that. That was like his first movie, I believe. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. You know, she was in The Abyss later. I think this was one of her first big roles. So, Marion Colin. I've seen her in some stuff. Hispanic woman. So there's quite a few people. Guy that played Chi-Chi. I don't know what he's been in though, but it looked like he has had a career. So my point is, you know, okay, so your main character is being played by whatever they call it, cisgendered actor, but how about all the other supporting actors in the movie? The cisgender actor will get the movie made, and I'm sure there's some other supporting roles that will give some transgender people some recognition and possibly careers, is all I'm saying. Using Scarface as an example of what can happen when you let people play, you know, a role that's not to their particular race or gender assignment. So that's my only point. Don't read it as anything deeper than that. I just thought, I felt kind of bad because you probably won't hear about this movie, whatever it was, ever again.